There's two things in the house that I grew up in. There's a radio in the kitchen, and then there was my mom's hi-fi that was in the living room. And my mom had a great record collection. She had David Bowie and Chuck Berry and Bob Dylan and the Beatles and the Allman Brothers and just on and on and on, all kinds of great stuff. I remember specifically like hearing Ray Charles for the first time on the kitchen radio, and just sort of being transfixed by it and the imprint that it had on me. Having sort of that experience, I sort of, when I was young, fancied myself that I wanted to be a DJ. And I had a small cassette recorder, and I would make DJ programs, and I would kind of talk into the tape deck, and I would put records on. And because I didn't understand how to hook the cassette deck up to the hi-fi the way you would to make a mixtape, I would just put it in the room. To get a clear recording on the cassette deck, I had to figure out how loud to turn the hi-fi up and where to put the cassette deck to kind of get a sound that approximated, it was close to what I was hearing, the way I enjoyed it in the room. And then I just made little silly compilation tapes, and I played a little bit of music in high school. My fascination was a little bit still more with like the PA that my friend's band had, or their 4-track, or those types of things. The late 60s came along, the studio started to be used as an instrument, to manipulate what was going on. And it wasn't until I was listening and became a fan of Jimi Hendrix, it's like then a light bulb went off. I realized that there was something more going on. And so all these kind of things started to come together for me. Tom Dowd was certainly an early influence. Late in my teen years, I started to listen to like straight ahead jazz, because I discovered Jack Kerouac as a writer, and then it sort of turned me on to that music, and then it turned me on to the record makers, Alfred Lion and Rudy Van Gelder, because those were pretty special sounding recordings, and a lot of that equipment that Rudy had was like handmade and like kit built at the time. And pioneers like Les Paul. I'm inspired by people that are tinkerers and to sort of take things into their own hands on their own terms. So my journey just kind of took me to the place where I just wanted to figure out how to make records. In the back of Rolling Stone, I found an advertisement for the recording workshop. Subsequently talked my way into an assistant engineer's job, and all the music projects that would come in, they'd come in at night. And they'd come in at reduced hours. The lead engineers didn't feel like doing that stuff, or they weren't paying, the client wasn't paying enough. So I'd get thrown on these things. I have certainly had a good foundation having gone to the recording workshop, but it's just sort of really a primer. You just sort of learn by doing. And then, over time I figured out, as I got my hands on pieces of gear or heard somebody else use them for the first time, I just would identify the things that resonated with me, and I'd go and find them.